All right, physics students. In this first conservation of momentum problem, we've got a van and a car, and they rear end each other. So on the left side, we've got the van and the car before the crash, and on the right side, we have them after. So this is before. This is after on the right side. Okay. The question tells us that the van, once it rear ends the car, it loses 10,000 kilograms miles per hour of momentum. We can see that here. It starts with 40,000 and it loses 10,000 going down to 30,000 here. So this one, it loses 10,000. Okay? What we know is if one of the cars in the crash loses momentum, that momentum has to go somewhere, and it goes into the second car, which means the second car gains 10,000. Okay. So the next question asks us the momentum of the car after the crash should be what? So if the van lost 10,000, we know the car had to gain 10,000. So the momentum of the car before was 20,000. And then it gained 10,000. So momentum of the car after should be 20,000 plus 10,000, which is 30,000. All right. The next question asks us, what is the total momentum before the crash? Total P from before crash. Okay. So to know the total before, we just add up the momentum of the two cars before the crash. One was the momentum of the van, which is 40,000. Momentum of the car, 20,000. Add those up. 40,000 plus 20,000, 60,000. So the momentum of the total before the crash is 60,000 kilograms miles per hour. All right? And then the next question is, what is the total momentum after the crash? This one's easy because the conservation of momentum tells us that the momentum before, the total momentum before, this is total, equals the total momentum after. So these have to be the same. It's a key piece here. So if before was 60,000, that means after P total is 60,000. Okay. Good. All right. So the final question is, and that's it. Great. So that's problem 1. Now we're going to look at problem 2. The first question that asks us about problem 2 is, what is the total momentum of the cars before the crash? Okay. So again, before the crash are the cars on the left side. And after, we see the cars on the right. So these two cars are after. So before the crash, we just look at what their momentums are. So before the crash, the van had a momentum of 40,000. So P of the van before is 40,000. And this time we notice that the car is going in the opposite direction, or it's going backwards. So that means we notice here that the momentum is negative, because momentum is a vector, so you got to know what direction it's going in. So this time momentum of the car is backwards, so its momentum is going to be negative 20,000. Momentum of the car before. So now we just got to add up 40,000 plus negative 20,000. That gets us 20,000. Do on your calculator 40,000 plus negative, it's going to subtract out that 20,000. So 40,000 plus negative 20,000 is 20,000 kilograms miles per hour. For the answer on the form, you just need the number. Alright, so we know the total momentum before. It asks us what direction is the car heading in before the crash. Like I mentioned, you can see from the arrow that it's backwards, and you also know that because the sign is negative. So if the sign is negative, that means we're going backwards. Okay. So what happened to the van after the crash? Well, at the beginning of the crash, before it happened, it had 40,000 kilograms miles per hour of momentum. Afterward, that dropped down to 10,000, which means it lost 30,000 of momentum. Lost 30,000. Okay. So, if the van lost 30,000, then we know that momentum, conservation of momentum says that momentum's got to go somewhere, right? So if the van lost it, that means the car gained it. Alright, the car gained that same 30,000. So that whatever went from the van, now that's in the car. So the van lost 30,000, the car gained 30,000. Alright, so that means some of that momentum goes into the car. So whatever this van lost, the car gains it. Okay. So what is the total momentum after the crash? So we already know the total momentum after the crash, because momentum total from before is equal to the momentum total after. And we already got the momentum from before, it's 20,000. So the momentum after also has to be 20,000. Okay? And the final question is, what is the momentum of the car after the crash? Alright. So, there's actually two ways we could go about it. One is, we know that the van lost 30,000 and the car gained 30,000. Alright. So if we know the car gained 30,000 and the car started off P before was negative 20,000 because it was going backwards. So started off negative 20,000. We add in the 30,000. We can see negative 20,000 plus 30,000. If you do that on your calculator, you'll get 10,000. So the momentum of the car after equals 10,000. I'm going to write 10,000 here. We also know that because we know the total momentum after is 20,000, right? 10,000 is already in the van. So if we just subtract these two, the total from what's in the van, then there's got to be 10,000 in the car too. Alright? So both of those are ways you can get the momentum of the car.